As a young architect, I remember the terrific buzz about what was happening at Broadgate. What Stuart Lipton and Peter Foggo were doing down there was quite astonishing. So it's no surprise to me in following decades the debate that raged for a while about whether the whole estate should be listed or not. And the City of London and the government effectively made that decision for all of us, because they consented to the demolition of two of Peter Foggo's original buildings. And from then on, I think you could say the die was cast.
The three buildings, the Peter Foggo buildings, were quite likeable buildings. They were clad in pink granite, but they had a number of idiosyncrasies, which in the end became their downfall.
The options really were to sort of either demolish the building and start again, or to carry out a very significant refurbishment of it. The latter course and things was chosen in this case, and resulted in a building that sort of feels like a new building, but actually retains about 50% of the existing structure above ground and 100% of the foundations of the existing building.
For us, really, the big challenge was, how do we reinvent that building? How could we give that a new identity? It was always going to be a big building. It was a big building before. We've added 45% extra area onto it by building 3 floors on top. And in sort of reinventing a new image for the building, we thought it would be nice to sort of get a sinuous curvilinear flow that sort of somehow picked up on all these people passing by the building. So that's what we went for. It appears like a glass building, but it's not. It's only about 60% actually glass. The other 40% is insulated behind and back painted. So we manage the energy the building needs to keep cool, and we limit the amount of solar gain from the sun hitting the facade.
Those fins also provide sort of a great articulation to the building, especially during sort of changing light conditions, in terms of how the sun and things falls across it during the course of the day as it makes its way around the curves on the front of the building. We've added in the atria in the centre of the building in order to provide better daylighting, but also taking up the staircase up the side of the atria and linking that back in to the cores, creating a connection back to the reception and helping to encourage people to use the stairs rather than to use the lifts to get up and down inside the building.
In many ways, an office building is quite a private building. Everything happens within the floor plates, and in this building, in the floors of the office, tenants will rent that space, they will fit it out themselves, and they'll have their own private world of work in there. So we can only really focus on the communal spaces and give them a sense of community there and connectivity to each other. So as you go up the stairs, you go up the lifts, you get views out, and you see into the other workplaces. There's a connection between those people, and you start to build this sense of community within the workplace. What we've done is to sort of completely reinvent a 1980s building and give it an entirely new identity and image. And we have put a contemporary workplace on the inside, and then on the outside we've opened it up and brought the life of the city into it.
If I was lucky enough to come back in 30, 40, 50 years, I would imagine that the buildings will all have been redeveloped, because buildings over time change. But I think that the routes, and particularly this new arterial route that we have added, will still be there. It's a private route, but effectively, to all intents and purposes, it's a public route. And history demonstrates that public routes and public spaces endure. And I would be pleased to see that. I also think Peter Foggo, if he was alive today, and looking at what we'd done, would think that I think he'd be pleased with this adaptation of his original master plan.